Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to be with you today, and this is an extremely important topic. I will explain more, but let me take care of a little housekeeping first. It is important that you know that I am not an attorney. I have been in this industry 53 years. I've been teaching fair housing since 1981. I was in the industry when the Fair Housing Act was passed in 1968. I would love to tell you that I started when I was 10, but not so. So I don't work for HUD. I don't work for this webinar provider. I am self-employed and a lot self-educated. I spend probably, I would say, 10 hours a week at least on the computer researching what's new and what's happening in fair housing. So just know that this information is based on my opinion and all of my studies of fair housing. It is not considered legal advice. When we do the Q&A at the end, if you have questions that I think require an attorney, I will tell you that. So effective today's date, this information is current. One of the challenges we face with fair housing is that people that you buy the webinars, you watch the webinars, you get all educated, and next month HUD changes something. So I just remind you to stay educated. Log into Webinar Planet every chance you get for a fair housing class, because it's very liquid and flowing. We've had more changes since 2016 in fair housing than all the years prior to that in fair housing. So again, at least twice a year, and I would encourage you to take classes more often. So I also will remind you that there are some differences, not these basic, and I'll review with you the basics of fair housing, but in affordable and subsidized housing, sometimes you have more laws, rulings, practices, because you have government money involved in your properties. Conventionally financed or market rate has no government. And I also want to remind you that cities and states can add to the fair housing laws in your area. So I hope to get to that as we go through the class. So a few suggestions for successful attendance. Please stay focused and try not to multitask. I know sometimes that's tempting if your phone dings or somebody comes in the office or whatever. So I will ask that you silence your media. Try not to allow distractions. Have somebody else mind the store. If you are in a group and you are watching together, I encourage you not to get in discussions together during the class, because I may say something absolutely brilliant and you would miss it. So jot down your questions for the end. The reason I don't take questions during the class is we would never get the class finished. So hang on to that. Now, why are we talking about this today? HUD recently awarded almost $50 million for investigations, testing, filing complaints, and the money goes to, of course, to avoid discrimination, and it's legal, and they do send out testers that are paid with that money to see if we are complying with the laws. So some of you think that testing isn't fair and that it should be illegal. And I'm just going to remind you, it is law enforcement. Just like when you're driving 80 miles an hour in a 55-mile zone and a police officer steps out with a radar gun, it feels like entrapment, but it is law enforcement, and it's done to protect you and to save your life. So these, in case you are new or anyone listening today is new, these are the federally protected classes. The first four, 1968, race, color, national origin, and religion. Now, let me give you a quick definition. Race is not your color or where you came from. Race is your ethnicity. And so remember that when you're trying to tell people or explain the fair housing poster, race is ethnicity, color is actually the color and the shade of the color of your skin. national origin means that if your prospective resident or your current resident came here from another country, that they have protected status as well. Not if they were born in this country of parents from another country.